It happened again. The Atlanta Braves take an early exit in the NLDS at the hands of the rival Philadelphia Phillies. It didn't feel good. It wasn't good. Let's talk about how bad it was on the last episode of the season for Locked On Braves. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Braves, your daily Atlanta Braves podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, and welcome back to Locked On Braves, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your favorite Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I am your host, Jake Mastriani. You can follow me on social media at Shortstop Ball. Check out the podcast there, LockedOn_Braves. Send in your questions, comments, feedback, rants, vents, whatever you want to do now that the season is over. We won't be over here. I'll be here all offseason talking about how the Braves can get this corrected for next year because they're going to be back. This Braves team isn't going anywhere. They're going to have more opportunities, but certainly got to figure this out, how to get it done. We'll talk about that all throughout the offseason here on Locked On Braves. Thank you so much for subscribing wherever you do, YouTube, where you get your podcasts. Appreciate all that and coming and listening every day, win, lose. Thank you so much to all those who are here with me throughout this entire season. Like I said, hopefully you're ready to go through this offseason together with me to help get this thing figured out. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. So it's a 3-1 loss in Game 4 of the NLDS. And bottom line is we can talk all day about managerial decisions. We can talk about pitching, whatever you want to talk about. We can talk about the comments from Marcia. We can talk about anything you want to talk about. But the bottom line is, there's two things. Bottom line is Phillies just have the Braves number. And they have this fight, this cockiness, if you want to call it. Look, I'm obviously biased. They're not likable characters in my mind on that team. But one thing is they are cocky, they are confident, and they just have the Braves number in the postseason right now. And the Braves just don't have that swagger. They don't have that player on the team like that. They don't have a Bryce Harper that's going to stare down a player like that. And I'm not saying I want that or even approve of that, but they don't have that guy. And it's like when they get kicked, they are not able to bounce back right now. So that's one thing. They need that Jock Peterson back. I'm not saying it has to be Jock, but they need that Jock Peterson back, somebody that's going to clap back at the opponent like that and just have that mentality. And it doesn't have to be outwardly, it doesn't have to be on the field, but at least in the clubhouse, who is somebody in there that is saying, we are the best team in baseball. Stop playing like this. Get your head out of the sand and get it together. I don't know that I see that in this clubhouse. There are good leaders in this clubhouse, Ozzie, Darno, Charlie Morton. There are good leaders who are going to show up, do the right things, get the job done. I just don't see that. I don't see that Jock Peterson. I don't see that Bryce Harper. I don't see that level of energy when you're in the heat of the moment like this coming from this team the last 2 years to say, hey, kick it into gear. You are the best team in baseball. Act like it, play like it, carry yourself like it. Look, the Braves won the division by 14 games. They won 8 of 13 games against the Phillies in the regular season. What happens here aside, the Braves proved over 162 they are a better team. But in this postseason, Phillies carried themselves like they were the better team. They were the more confident team. They were prepared for this. They wanted this. They played like this. All the credit in the world to the Phillies over there, because in this series, they were the better team. They played like it, and it showed. I don't see that sense of urgency from this Braves side of things. And I don't know what you got to do to change that. It's no coincidence that coincidence isn't the right word. You play 162, you win 104 games, you do as well as the Braves did. You're not a bad team. I mean, there's no excuse really for the way that they played in the postseason. It's not like this is a bad team. You're not going to like my comments in the offseason too much, because I'm going to tell you there's not much that needs to be done here player-wise, talent-wise. Talent-wise, this roster is good enough to win a World Series. They play like they're capable and play to the level like they did all season long when they were clearly the best team in baseball. They play like that in the postseason. They win a World Series, no problem. They got to figure out how to get to that point. in the postseason. And like I said, whether that's just somebody in that clubhouse to get them fired up, to wake them up, to clap back when they get slapped in the face like they did in game 3 in this series, whatever it takes, something has to change. Because this team is way too talented, and we've now wasted 2 years of this window where you've had a team that is talented enough to breeze to a World Series. This team is that good. I believe that. I know what just happened. I just watched this series, but you cannot tell me that on paper this team is not good enough to win a World Series. That's just false. You're lying to yourself. They can win a World Series. This group can win a World Series, but something has to change mentally, or whatever it may be. For a while it was the Dodgers. It's like, when do we get over that Dodgers hurdle? And they did, and they won a World Series. And now maybe the Phillies are that hurdle. And maybe that should be your focus all next year, is because that seems like what the Phillies was. They came into this series, they said, we got a game plan to attack and beat this Braves team. We know how to get it done, and they executed it to perfection. Again, all the credit to the world in the Phillies in this series. They certainly won it. That was a long first point. The point I really wanted to get to, this offense just fell. You can blame the pitching all you want. Pitching was not the problem in this series. Spencer Strider was fantastic. And we'll talk more about his start on the postcast with me and Grant McCauley, but he gave you everything he could. He had one pitch working on this night. He had one pitch working. His slider, he threw a couple of good ones in there, one to Real Muto. I think he threw another one maybe to Brandon March. I can't remember. I remember that's it. I remember 2 good sliders in this game, and that's it for a pitch that is one of the hardest pitches to hit. And it's not like they hit it. He just couldn't command it. Or I shouldn't say it's not like they didn't hit it. They blasted it into to the stands, but he just couldn't command it, and he had no confidence in it. You go to that last Castellanos at bat where he's just pumping fastballs. He threw one 101 right down the middle. Castellanos fouled it off. If you throw a good slider in that spot, Castellanos got no chance. Honestly, if you throw that fastball up where it was supposed to be, he probably doesn't have a chance either. But when you're just throwing fastballs in there and the batter knows you have no confidence in your slider, in your secondaries, they're going to be able to just sit on that fastball. I keep getting off my point here. The point is that I wanted to get to all along. This offense just didn't show up in the postseason. And you go back to my keys to winning a World Series before the postseason started. My number one key was this offense has to be the offense it was in the regular season. And they were nothing like that. The level of at-bats, and again, I don't want to take anything away from the Phillies pitchers in this series. They were fantastic. Wheeler, Nola, they're really good. Rob Thompson did a fantastic job managing the Rangers-Suarez games. I honestly was glad when they took him out of those games. But the offense just didn't they looked completely off. And, these last couple of games, I feel like they were just missing. But in a 5-game series, you got to come ready to go from the jump. And this is 2 years in a row now that really they've just come out flat in the first couple of games, 2 or 3 games, and it's just too little, too late. And again, something has to change there. Yeah, I don't know what. Obviously the sim games aren't the same. That didn't work. It was a good try. It was a good effort. I applaud them for trying something different, but I don't think you're going to tank just to win the wild card and go through the wild card round. I don't know that that's a prudent strategy. But something has to change, whether you're going in the wild card or going into the DS, this team's going to make the postseason. It's just too good, too talented for them not to, but they got to figure something out to get ready to go from the start. They just come out too flat in these series. And in a 5-game series, you come out flat like that and you fall behind, and then you got to go on the road. It's a tough spot you put yourself in, and there's just a lot of pressure on this lineup to make up for that. And it just seemed like they were trying to get it done, with one swing. This wasn't the boomer bust offense that we've seen from some of the Braves offenses in the past. You look at the regular season numbers, 6 fewest strikeouts, or in the bottom 10 in strikeouts in all of baseball this year. This wasn't a boomer bust offense. Led the league in average. They got hits. It wasn't just home runs. This was a complete offense, and you thought it was playoff postseason proof. And it just wasn't. This was not anything like the offense we saw all year long. And I don't know the reason for that. I don't have the answers for that. And again, I don't want to take anything away from the Phillies pitchers who were really good in this series and made just great pitch after great pitch. But something was off there. Something was clearly off with this Braves offense. It was nothing like what we saw in the regular season. Just the level of at-bats just were not the same that we saw all year long. So again, I don't have the answers. I don't have the formula. I just know that something's got to change, whether it's in, getting somebody else in there, like I said, to maybe, fire up the troops, be that guy that's going to, where's the Guillermo Heredia? Where's the cocky attitude that Guillermo Heredia had? I mean, you need somebody like that. Somebody said clean house. Like, this team is talented enough to win a World Series. I fully believe that. They got to figure out how to get it done. That's just bottom line. All right, I'm going to get into the comments here in a section. We got a lot of people in here, a lot of comments going by. I'm going to try to read through some of these. Those are some of my key thoughts. I'll have more in the postcast of me and Grant McCauley trying to, deep dive more into the game, but really just kind of want to get my overall thoughts of the series and my take on this Braves team and just where it is. But, again, offense didn't show up. You want to point to one key thing in this series, this best offense, this historic offense. It got tight and they pressed, and it just was not the offense that we saw in the regular season. And that's why the Braves lost this series. That and a great series played by the Phillies. Got a lot of Phillies fans in the comment section. Congratulations. Praying Bryce Harper's okay. I really hope he's not injured there. But a great series by the Phillies. Give them all the credit in the world. Certainly they came out and won it. They wanted it. They played with that attitude, and they took this series from the Braves. All right, next, we will get into those comments. I'm going to try to read through some of these. Any questions that you have, we'll get into all of that here next. October baseball is back. Not anymore for the Braves, but you can make your postseason debut with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Join FanDuel today, and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to create your new account. Then you can get in on the action from the first pitch into the final out. Bet on everything from strikeouts to home runs to who will win the game. And if you don't want to wait the whole game to get a W, predict what will happen in the next at bat with quick bets. So head on over to FanDuel.com/lockedon right now. Step up to the plate this postseason with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Postseason action will continue for other teams on SiriusXM. Make sure you catch every pitch of the postseason on SiriusXM with the SXM app. All right, the comments are flowing through here. I'm going to try to read through some of these. Again, apologize if I take some breaks here to read some of these. There's a lot coming in and a lot that I need to filter out. Daniel Norman says, Max Fried leaving or staying. He'll be here next year, and then I think he's probably gone. I've kind of predicted that for a while now. Richard Davis, hope Morton comes back. Don't think he is worth $20 million, though. I hope he comes back as well. Would have been huge to have him in this series. $20 million is a pretty big price tag. Maybe you renegotiate that. But at the same time, he's kind of at a point in his career where he can hang it up if he doesn't want to. So we'll see what happens with him. But yeah, I think he's definitely needed. I wouldn't mind having him back even, at that price tag. Al Carrara Antonio says, we need starters and a left fielder. You don't need starters. Yes, you want to get some depth there. Sure. Starters are not the problem. Spencer Strider pitched great in this series. Max Fried wasn't great, but, injured coming in again, but, at least battled through 4 innings, kept the team in the game. Pitching is not the issue. I do agree. If you're going to look at one position this offseason that needs to upgrade, left field, do you open back up the shortstop competition again? I mean, as great as Arcia was, in the first half, was that somewhat fool's gold? We'll see what they do there. But every other position, I mean, you're pretty much set already. Garrett Clemens says we do need a starter. Look, you want to go get a starter? That's great. You're not getting anybody better than Spencer Strider or Max Fried. That's all I'm saying. You got 2 of the better starters in baseball. Starting pitching was not the problem in this series. Offense just didn't show up. Yeah, Nicky Lopez isn't an everyday starting shortstop. That's not an answer. Some of you saying Murphy has to go. He had 2 hits in this game. Dustin Howard, Waldrop incoming. Wouldn't be surprised. Again, kind of like with AJ Smith-Shawver, I hate you had to rush him. I'd really hate it if you had to rush Waldrop too. Both of those guys have just amazing stuff in top of the rotation potential, but they do need fine tuning in the minor leagues. Alejandro, do you think the stage was too big for some of these Braves players? I don't think so. I don't think the stage has anything to do with it. I think they did start pressing, and so if maybe that's what you mean by the stage being too big, you can just tell by the quality of at bats. It wasn't the same as what we saw in the regular season. So I definitely think there was some pressing by the offense, thinking that they had to do too much. But some unfortunate. I don't want to chalk anything up to being unlucky here, but Acuna with 4 hard hit balls in this game, just missed the grand slam there. You had a lot of balls just die at the warning track in this series for the Braves. Again, not saying these are balls that should have gone out, but just balls that they just missed, which, I don't want to bring up excuses, but maybe you somewhat blame that on the timing being a little off after the layoff. But bottom line, again, they didn't get it done. The one thing I will say, because I saw somebody say not working at bats, not working counts, just going back to the game. You had first and third in the 9th inning. You had all the pressure on Strom there, and Pilar and Rosario go up there just hacking. I did not love that look. Janke talked about Pilar not scoring on the wild pitch. If you have any hesitation there, you can't go. With Acuna at the plate, you just can't. You cannot go there. So I don't think that was a terrible decision at all. David Fessner, what do you think about the defense tonight? Obviously not going to win when you can't score, but looked really lazy in the field. Several ground balls got through on plays that should have been made. I didn't see any of that. In fact, if there was one real highlight of this series, I thought it was the defense. I thought Arcia was great, especially in the first couple of games, made a couple of key plays, keep runs off the board. And then obviously what Michael Harris did in center field. I mean, he single-handedly, kept the Braves in this game. I wouldn't say single-handedly, but helped keep the Braves in this game. Alicar, what do you think of the strike zone tonight? It wasn't good. Look, it wasn't good for either side. I hate in the final at bat. I feel like the bat was taken out of Vaughn Grissom's hands. What are you going to do with those 2 pitches? I mean, they're fantastic pitches, and they're borderline pitches that can go either way. But the strike zone's not why the Braves lost this series. Somebody saying Ronald has no heart can get out of here. He scored 3 of the Braves' 8 runs in this series. Sorry, reading through some of these. Acuna's going to be fine. MVP season, says Brave Train. Acuna was fantastic this year. Again, maybe a little bit slow coming into this series, those first couple of games. Not able to get that lift, which is just, again, what we saw from the home run barrage. We saw from him in September, and then all of a sudden in the postseason, he's not able to get under the ball again. Daniel Fowler, hey, Jake, love the show, everyday listener. I think we need to look at our bullpen and get some more dogs in there. This bullpen was fantastic. Again, you can make all the excuses that you want. Some of you in here talking about starting pitching, talking about bullpen. There is one sole reason the Braves, not one sole reason, you got to give credit to the Phillies, but the offense is who you blame. Don't blame the bullpen, who was fantastic in this series. Don't blame the starting pitching. Game 3, we knew that was going to be a rough one without Charlie Morton, without Kyle Wright. The hitting, the offense just didn't show up in this series. Yeah, Justin, I don't know. I don't know what the problem was. The offense just didn't show up. There's nothing, there's no other way to really just explain it. Great pitching by the Phillies, certainly, but the quality of at bats just weren't there. Jeffrey, how do you keep hitting going in to the playoffs with the layoff? Again, great question. I don't know, but it's certainly something you got to figure out, because I don't think you're just going to tank to go into the wild card and take that risk. A Magic Eclipse says thoughts on Riley. One guy that really showed up offensively in this postseason. Great for him. I think he's, you'd have told me coming in, I'd have said if Riley gets going, this offense is going to take off because Acuna and Olsen are going to do their things. But that wasn't the case. Neither Acuna or Olsen really had a great series, but Austin Riley certainly did. Yeah, I don't want to keep making excuses about the layoff. I think it's a factor, but you got to get past that at some point. I don't think it's a coincidence that the top 5 teams in baseball combined for 1 win in the postseason. That's just I get it. The Astros do it, and that's the that's the reasoning for all the teams on the other side who are enjoying this postseason format. But I don't think there's I don't think it's just a coincidence that that's happening. Kevin says, where else can you upgrade the offense? Left and shortstop. Yeah. Kind of what I talked about earlier. I think those are really the only 2 positions. If you're going to look to upgrade this offseason, you're not upgrading center field. You're not upgrading right field. You're not upgrading first base, second base, third base, catcher. It's shortstop and left field. If you're going to look for places offensively to upgrade, that would be it. Somebody said rebuild in the offseason. That's hilarious. Trade for Bobby Witt Jr. Would love to see that. We need to get rid of Marcelo Ozuna. Guy hit 40 home runs this year. Like, you'd have told me before the season, I'd said he's not even here anymore. But Miguel says, hey, Jake, the Phillips are a better team. No excuse. Yeah, they certainly were the better team in this series once again. Go get Nola. Acuna had no hits and MVP. That's baseball. I mean, I loved his last 2 at-bats. I thought they were fantastic. Baseball's just brutal that way sometimes. I can't do anything about blocking the trolls. Congratulations to the Phillies fans. Thanks for coming in here, boosting the numbers. We're almost up to 1,000 people. So thank you so much for supporting the show. I really appreciate it. Acuna did have a stolen base in this series, Garrett. He stole third base, and it was a big stolen base too. It helped lead to that Riley home run that kept the Braves alive, the only top 5 team to get a win in the postseason. So there's some moral victories for you. Amethyst says, what do you think the Braves have to improve on next year? A good question. How do you improve on 104 win historic regular season? I don't know. I don't know the answers to that. Focus on the postseason is all I can say. It's a team that's good enough. They're going to get to the postseason. I think it's more on focusing that. How do you handle when you get there? I think that should be the focus all year long. Not even really winning division. I don't even care about the division anymore at this point. You can win 84, 86 games like the Diamondbacks, get into the postseason. Again, if this is what we are measuring success on, is strictly how you do in October, then forget the regular season. And that's what I don't want to go on a rant here and be sour grapes, but that's my worry with where Major League Baseball is going, is that you're going to play 162 and it's going to be futile because if you don't come up in 5 games in the NLDS, then it doesn't really matter. You can win 84, 86 games, just get in, and like the Braves did in 2021. Look, this 2023 team and 2022 team are way better than the 2021 team. I will go on record as saying that every day of the week. But that 2021 team got it done because they played good baseball at the right time. These last 2 years, the Braves have not. Okay, I will block people who come in here and start cursing and talking and saying derogatory things. We're not going to have that. Phillies fans, you want to come in here and have a conversation, and congratulations to you, but we won't have that. Rangers Diamondbacks World Series would go fix format. Talked with somebody yesterday about this. Somebody in the media who's obviously more in tune with it than I am, and they said that exact same thing. You start having the Dodgers and the Yankees and other big market teams take these first round exits like this, you're going to see a format changed up a little bit. King Kong, I don't know if you're a Phillies fan or not, but thank you for that comment. Yeah, guys, had a great year. Certainly did. All right. I think that's going to be it. We're to a trolling point here at this point in the comment section, but I do thank you for being here. Again, congratulations to the Phillies. Congratulations on your win. Best of luck to you the rest of the way. Hope that Bryce Harper's okay. Certainly hope the best for him. He's an outstanding player and certainly is having an outstanding postseason. one of the best postseason players I think we've seen in a long time. So hopefully he's okay for you guys. Hopefully he'll be healthy and get back out there. Next, I'll just kind of wrap things up. Final thoughts on the season. I'll have more podcasts later in the week, kind of wrapping up the regular season. And we may take a little bit of break here before we get back into things and, start talking about what's going forward. How can the Braves fix this? What is it going to take for them to get over this hump? That's certainly what's going to be the priority of the offseason and even going through the regular season. Certainly what we'll be talking about all offseason here on Locked On Braves. And I'll kind of recap everything here in a moment. Davis Fessner says, thanks, Jake. Just started listening to the podcast this year, but been a pleasure listening to your thoughts this season. Thank you so much for that. Really appreciate it. All right. Again, thank you so much for all the people in the chat section, comment section here tonight, riding along with me all season long. We'll take one more break here, and then we'll wrap things up. When disaster strikes, you don't want to be caught unprepared, and that's where Jase Medical steps in. Perhaps you've been caught in a situation where medical treatment wasn't readily available. Don't get caught unprepared again. The Jase case provides 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use. All it takes to get a Jase case is fill out a simple online form and, in some cases, jump on a quick call with one of our board-certified physicians. Jase handles everything from online evaluation to licensed pharmacy medication delivery and ongoing consultation and care. Get $20 off these life-saving antibiotics today from Jase Medical by using my code LOCKEDON at checkout on jasemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com. Again, the postseason will continue for the Phillies, Diamondbacks, Rangers, and Astros. You can catch all that action on SiriusXM on the SXM app. Disappointing end to the season for sure. Great regular season. Look, I can't tell you how to be a fan, but if everything's going to come down to 4 games in October for you, and that's how you view the entire season, that's on you. But I get that mentality, and certainly that's where this Braves team is. It's World Series or bust. I get that, but it's just hard for me to discredit 162 games based on the way the Braves played in 4 games in October. So this was an amazing season. I asked at the beginning of the year, and maybe I should have asked for something different. I said, give me 1 full season of Ronald Acuna Jr. I just want to see what that looks like. And we did, and it was incredible. And I was glad that I got to be a part of it and watch it. Braves broke so many records this year. Strider, the season he had with the strikeouts, Matt Olson and the home runs, just this team in general was a lot of fun. But again, as some of you have said, all that matters is the ring. And that's what a lot of people are going to remember here. So certainly hoping the Braves can get over that hump next year. Like I said, this team's built to do it. They're going to be back in this situation again. They could face this Phillies team again. Got to find a way to get over that hump. And I certainly think they will, and they have to. This team is just way, way too good to continue to keep going out like this. Again, I think what hurts the most for me, because I'm more about the journey than what happens in a micro sample size 3-game, 4-game set in October. I enjoy the journey of a season, and I'm glad I got to spend this journey with a lot of you on here. Maybe not all of you Phillies fans are on here, which, by the way, if you are a Phillies fan in here, hit that subscribe button. Go over to Locked On Phillies. Make sure you subscribe to Locked On Connor's Locked On Phillies podcast as well. He does a good job over there. So thank you so much for being here. Again, it's been a fantastic season. Comes to an unfortunate end again for the Braves against the Phillies, but this team is primed. They will be back. It is just way too talented. They will be back again. Another opportunity. Got to see the Braves get over this hump, though. It does hurt. It's certainly painful right now, and I understand it. Everyone that's upset and frustrated with the moment, but this Braves team is really fun to watch. It's a really good team. It's a really good group of guys, and they'll be back again. I'll be back again, and thank you so much for your comment there, Ann Batoski. I'll be back again. I'll be here all offseason long, 5 days a week for the majority of the offseason, and if you like these live podcasts, that's pretty much what I'm going to exclusively do in the off season. We'll start about 8, 9 o'clock Central, 5 days a week, doing a live podcast and get this interaction with you. So if you like doing these live podcasts, that's pretty much what I'll do all off season long. So again, you want to be a part of that, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell on YouTube. we'll be doing this all off season long, trying to figure out how the Braves get over this NLDS hump. I thought we were over it with 2020 and 2021, but here we are again. Got to get past that first round, and we'll figure out how the Braves can do that this offseason. So make sure that you are here to ride through that offseason with me. Again, thanks so much for listening. Thanks for making Locked On Braves your first listen all season long. Again, we'll be going here through the offseason together, talking all about it. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for being here with me all season long. I do appreciate your support, all the love that you give me here at Locked On Braves. One more time, subscribe, Locked On Braves on YouTube, and wherever you get your podcast. Appreciate you being here. Y'all have a great offseason. Come back, take a little bit of a break, and then let's spend it together, get through this cold winter, and get back after it next year. That will do it for this episode of Locked On Braves, and we will talk to you next time.